Hello and welcome to another episode of Making Diablo Clone in Common Lisp. Alright, the last week I was doing some stuff for the GMTK Game Jam. So that's finished by now, and the game that I made for that jam wasn't that good, but yeah, anyway, I made it also using Lisp, but the different one than the Common Lisp, the Fennel to be precise. Alright, so today I'm moving back to my Diablo clone, and by the way, I'm also trying to move to Sly from Slimy, and yeah, I already see some improvements. Okay, so today I think I'm going to work on event system. So right now I'm using Shinmera's Dits library, and not that it's bad or something, but yeah, it's kind of very powerful actually, but I think it might be way too powerful for me, so I think I will probably replace it with some very simple system of my own. Again, some bunch of macroses and stuff. Alright, so I think I'm going to write down some stuff that oh, no, not here. So I will write down some stuff that I require from that system, from that, from the events. Right, so I will open my bug tracker. Yeah, sure. So I have some stuff written in my private bug tracker in GitLab. So yeah, I'm gonna just type it here, what I have there. I don't think I have very much there, but still. Yeah, events. I wanted to simplify those. Right, so first of all, I think I will need first of all, I want dev structs. I think I want at least events to be simple structs, to have the access to them be, well, more performant. Okay, so then I would need some sort of my own event loop. No, I mean event queue. Yeah, so probably I will end up with some very simple queue, but later maybe I will add some priorities to that, so that will be a prioritized queue where I can take some events and move them back and forth in that processing queue. Right, so after that, yeah, and what I've written down about that is that it decouples event creation from handling. So yeah, right now, actually, I think in my engine, when some event happens, it is being processed right away, right in the place where it happens. It could be not that good for some applications. So yeah, this decouples event creation from handling. Right, so after that I want it to be effective, and for that I want some libraries that do, that make close dispatch more performant. So I will need to look at, probably I will have some time for that today. I will have to look at inline generic function or static dispatch. I do have all the links, so yeah, I will probably look at that later, or fast generic functions. So I will try to make some sort of comparison between them and check out which works better for me. And last but not least, I want, probably I will write it somewhere here, I want event filters. So that's kind of debatable. I think I will have to look at my code base and how do I use those filters, because in Shinmera's Dits, which I'm using right now, you can add some sort of filter, which is the actual piece of code, which will be in runtime, it will be compiled to the, well, actual function, and it will be checked every time that event occurs. So yeah, that's also a bit overkill, I think. And yeah, I think I will need some mechanism akin to that. Right, and yeah, that's all I have written down. So probably something will, I will find some other requirements as I go. Alright, yeah, event loop. Okay, so I wouldn't look at that very much. I will just start from scratch. So, event loop, yeah, I will probably even rename that file. So anyway, I will need some sort of event. So first of all, I think I will define some basic structure for event. Yeah, event. Yeah, and I think I wouldn't need some of the features of the struct. So yeah, I will look at, yeah, I think I will work on actions mechanism a bit later, so I think I will delete that file. Right, so the struct. Where should I look for a better example? I think I remember I was doing something recently, and I think I do have some example for that, some nice one. Was it sparse array? Yeah, I think that was sparse array. Yeah, right. Or was it system? So yeah, right now systems are also the structs in my engine. Yeah, I think that one will be a bit better. Alright, so event. Yeah, I would have some options. So yeah, here we go. So constructor. Should I have separate constructor? I don't think right now. No. Yeah, right. So then, what was conc name again? I think that was the prefix, wasn't it? So conc name. Yeah. Designated this price for automatic prefixing of names. Yeah, right. Automatic prefixing. Yeah, I don't think I need that. But I don't need a copier because, well, why would I need that? Why would I need to copy an event? Yeah, that looks impractical. And then I don't need a predicate, most probably. I wonder if I still could do close dispatch on those structs if they don't have a predicate. I think it's still doable, but well, I don't know how that interferes. So yeah, probably I should Google that. Yeah, I think I will do that right now. So, so the question was about the structs, the predicate, and close dispatch. I think probably I will open something about close, something like that. And yeah, define classes, slots. So yeah, I think I need methods. Yeah. Generic functions. So blah blah blah. Multi methods. Dispatch mechanism. Yeah. Yeah, right. So I think most probably this is done without the predicate somehow under the hood of the Lisp. Yeah, probably I should read the docs for the struct. No, not for that. And search something for dispatch, maybe. Dispatch note. Close note. Method. Yeah. Print object method. Yeah, here we go. Specify print. Yeah, that's about print function and print object stuff. Yeah, I think that's basically it. Okay, so let's read about predicate. The predicate with the name yeah is defined to test membership to structure type to test membership. Predicate is true if an object is of this type, otherwise it is false. Type P can also be used to the name of an type. Test when an object belongs to the type. Such a function call has the form type P object structure name. I don't quite get the sentence about type P. Is it like the separate mechanism? The predicate is true if an object blah blah blah, the rest false. Type P can also be used with the name of the new type to test. Right. Okay, so let's try and do that. Let us first define that structure without anything and with a implicit predicate. So yeah, we've done that. So yeah, and I will look at disassembly. Yeah, something like that. Disassembly of well, first of all, of that function. So event p is it like that? Yeah, event p. Let's pass some object and check if that object is of that type. So how would that look? Oh, that looks quite harsh. So we have some sort of SB kernel layout for that event. Then we do check some stuff and yeah, SB kernel layout. Okay, right. And what happens if I call this type P variant? Type P object and event. Oops. Yeah, that looks basically the same. That's exactly the same. Okay, let's see what happens if I omit this predicate. So right now, wait a sec. I think I still do have event P defined. Yeah, I do. But anyway, what will happen with type P? Yeah, that's basically the same. So I think probably, yeah, I could get away with close dispatch on that predicate plus structure. Yeah, okay, let's try that. Yeah, nothing about structures here, I think. Oh, in addition, there's also a class for every structure type you define. Another class is structure class, blah 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 blah. Built-in class. Interesting. Yeah, okay. Nothing interesting here, actually. Right, so right now I don't think I have any ideas about any meaningful fields in event structure, so let's go further. Right, so event queue. Right, so I think I would have some sort of global variable for that event queue, and that would be what that would be. I think I can start with the simple list. That way I can append and prepend the events on end and etc. Yeah, and the thing is, sometimes while handling an event, there can be another event added. Right, so I also want to handle this properly. So if some new event appeared, I think I want to process it in the very same frame, which means that, yeah, I will have to go over that list. Yeah, so the thing is, it is classic stuff when you modify the container while you are iterating over it. So I think I can do that. I remember you can do that in Common Lisp, but not with every container type. So I think you can probably do that with list, because well, a Lisp list is basically the chain of conses. So if I'm iterating and I'm standing like in the middle of some cons, yeah, probably I should do some drawing, maybe. Okay. Yeah, right. So imagine we have this chain of conses. No, I'm not drawing them right. This chain of conses, like probably 4 of them. So this coder points to that car. I mean to that whole cons. Then this coder points to that cons. This coder points to that cons, and this is nil. So it is the end of the list. And so here we have some like items, and we iterate over those. So imagine we standing like here, like those dots are actually events. So we are processing those events, and then like we are processing this event, we already processed this one, we are here, and then another events happens while processing this one. So we should add another one. Right, and the thing is that we could only add that to the end of the list, because if we add one to the start, that won't work, because well, we already processed the beginning of the list, and we want to add it somewhere here, like in place of that nil. Yes, so this means, well, first of all, yeah, I'm starting first with simple list, without any priorities, any actual queues, whatever. So, yeah, so the operation of adding new event to that queue only means we're pushing new element to the list. Yeah, and to add that element, well, there is a slight problem. That means that to add some new event to that queue of sorts, it means that we will have to go over all of the conses and, well, append a new element to the end. Yeah, not very performance friendly in terms of adding or creating new events. Yeah, not quite good. Okay, so what can I actually do about that? I can use some other container type and also add those new elements there. So, well, I think I can go with my growable vector structure, which is basically a wrapper around. Yeah, hello. Maybe 2 options possible: interrupting events immediately in the beginning, next cons, and those that happen to the end. 2 options. So, okay, interrupting events immediately in the beginning, for instance, next cons. Oh, yeah, I see. Or and those that happen to the end. Yeah, well, that means that I will need to have this pointer to the current event, current processed event. And yeah, well, I think that's kind of extra variable to have. Kind of, don't know, doesn't sound quite right. So okay, I think I can go with a array or vector or whatever, and or well, my wrapper called growable vector. So that means that I will have these events, these dots, probably not the full array, just some dots here, and I am processing, for instance, this one. So then I want to add a new event, and I'm adding it, like for instance, to the end. And that is performance friendly because, well, I always know the size of the vector beforehand, and yeah, well, the average complexity of adding new element to that growable vector of mine is just O of 1, well, the constant. So yeah, that's slightly better. And yeah, I think the general interface to that event queue would be just to add a new event to the end. So we add some events there, they will be processed first, and then probably we would end some more events which will be processed after that first ones. So it's kind of the chronological order, like the first in, first out. Yeah. So it came first and it is processed first, like before. Oh god, my handwriting is just awful. Okay. Right. So I think I can go with the event queue as a growable vector. Yeah. So I will use that constants library. How it was called again? I always forget this kind of stuff. Global vars, yeah, define global var. So instead of systems, that would be called event queue, and that would be my global vector. Alright, and maybe with some keywords. Come on, why the hint is not working here? That's weird. Yeah, I do have some keyword arguments actually. Okay, so initial element as nil. Yeah, I think nil would be just fine. And initial allocated size of 1, which is kinda, yeah, okay, it will grow anyway at some point initially. So, yeah, right, just make global vector, and that would be my event queue. Alright, so every frame I will need to call some function which will do the actual processing, which I will call something like process events, or maybe process event queue, process events, yeah, anyway, let's go with that. So in that I will just go over that event queue. I think I have some helper in growable vector to traverse all of the elements. Do I don't traverse? No, I don't. And that's weird. Yeah, I think I can make manual loop. So yeah, I will have to go with that. Right. So I need the length, and the length will be, what would the length be? I think I have some function for that. Yeah, here we go. Growable vector length. So I will need to loop for some integer counter. I think I can make type definitions in loop. I just can't quite remember how, like the fixed num. Yeah, I will have to Google that. Give me a sec. So, loop that. Let's see. I remember quite vividly that you can have the keyword that in loop. Yeah, that's kinda not very good word to look for, because, well, English. and the word there. Probably that's the most used word. Okay, where is that? Yeah, maybe I should search something about type. And that. Let's see. Type. Oh yeah, of type. Type with. No, I don't have with. I have for. With type. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, that's definitely unsearchable. Yeah, right. I can't even see one. Okay, let's look of type. Type, how declare? Yeah, the type will variable. That's it. So, for example, oh yeah, interesting. You can just write the type after the variable and for close numeric calculation clause like a sum close. And I think I already clicked. Yeah, I already upvoted that. Alright, so for like the type, probably that was some syntactic sugar, like, yeah, of type. So of type is sugar just for that. So I think I will be more explicit and just do that. So for, how do I do that? Yeah, so for I, let's go with I. Yeah, for I of type fixed num, not even fixed num of type array length. Oops, not the parenthesis. Yeah, array index from Alexandria. Okay, so for I of type array index, how do I do the upper bound? Was it 2? In 2, yeah, that was 2. So for I from 0 to global vector length, right? Of event q. I think I probably should compile that. What? Okay. To the length. So yeah, we have index, and now we can have the item. Yeah, so about that changing the container while iterating. So if I will change that, if I will add some new elements, so this global vector length would also grow. Would that work? Okay, let's just write it a bit more. So for event equals global vector ref, obviously. Of the event q. Wait a second. What was the first element? Okay, wait, what? Okay. For some reason, Sly is not showing arguments for my functions. I don't think that's very good. Okay, I will deal with that later. Alright, so what was my first argument? So that's access. Yeah, I want to access that ref. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. So first global vector, then index. Okay. For blah blah blah. Then we do. What do? We process that event. So okay, right now I will just print that and try to understand how that will work. Okay. So I think I want to macro expand that stuff. how that was done in Sly, like Ctrl+C Alt+M. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so what will happen in that macro expanded code? We will call global vector length, and we will set that to this variable. Then we will declare types. Yeah, okay. Limit and real ring. It's weird, but okay. So example new body if yes, so that is the problem. The length is calculated once at the beginning of the loop. That's not very good. Yeah, not very good. Okay, so I need to make that possible. I need to make it possible that the new event added to the queue is also processed in the end. I mean, added while iterating over the events and processing them. So how do I do that? I think I can call global vector length every iteration of the loop. Yeah, it's not even that big of a performance hit. So should I do that? Okay, let's try that. First of all, how that will even look. So for like length equals that global vector length for I of vec2 length. Can I do that? Yeah, it does not compile. Why? Okay, let's look here. It's a bit better. Wait, what? Why? Unreachable, but why is unreachable? Derived type of length is values no optional. Conflicting with its asserted type. That's weird. Okay, can I use of type here? Length of type array length. Okay, now it compiles. That's quite weird, but okay. So let's look at the macro expansion first. Yeah, now it's a bit more of stuff. So now we declare type. We have this I being 0. We have this thing being length. Wait, what? Crap. Yeah, it thinks. I mean the loop close. That length is some variable from the outer scope, and as a matter of fact it's not. Crap. So yeah, so the thing is the loop always, I mean here it evaluates its upper bound only once, which makes sense in, well, optimization from the optimization standpoint. So I need to trick that, or probably not even use loop at all. Alright, so yeah. So I will need to make this kind of manual, or maybe just Google something about different, I mean, like variable upper bound. Don't think I will find anything usable using that. Loops, times result mystery. Local variable bindings, define local variable loop. Okay, probably I should Google about changing container while looping. Loop for list and replace values, alter LISP call function while in the loop. Loop repairs, iterate either. So, iterate further, insertion sort. I'm not seeing anything particularly useful. Okay, let's go back here. So, right model list. I think it had something here about changing while iterating. Function hash. Efficiently listed loops. Get value. Loop counter. Some order limits. Yeah, what about limits? Yeah, nothing interesting. Steps, series, loops and conditionals. Okay, so probably I will just make it like fully manual. So come on, just. Alright, so on each iteration I will have this length variable, and then I will just manually check. So I would have for I which equals to 0. No, let's just start with that. With I equals 0. Then for length, so this is calculated every loop step, and then we will manually do that. So like while I is less than length, yeah, I think that's about right. So while that is true, we do we get the event. Oh yeah, I don't think I can use for after while. So let's see. In that loop for black belts, yeah, that one. So I don't want that to be highlighted. Thank you, Google. So with while, yeah, termination tests. Right, here we go. Loop keywords while and until, and there is the mild termination clauses. When they decide to terminate the loop, control passes to the epilogue, blah 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 blah. There you go. While clause terminates the loop, the first time the test performs false, until reverse test of the first time the test performs true. Finish. There's no blah blah blah. While clauses, conditional and unconditional execution. Yeah, right. What's that footnote? 11. Algorithms and implementations will let you get away with mixing body clauses and for clauses. Yeah, that's what I'm wanting here. But that's strictly undefined, and some implementations will reject such loops. Okay. Again, I will have to make something manually. So I will need to start do here. Why? Okay. So in that do, I would have, wow, that's weird. Yeah, I think Sly indents loops differently than Slimy does. Yeah, that's, I'm not very used to that. Yeah, okay. So, do let event be that theme. And then we just, oh yeah, that's super helpful. Nope. Let's go with that. So I will just print event here again, and that's basically it. So okay, let's look at macro expansion for that. Yeah, that's a bit simpler. So we have this length as the variable. We calculated every step. We get the length. Yeah, so we have a length. We compare it with I, then we go to the end of the loop, and then, yeah, okay. So let's look at the disassembly. So I think I will have to declaim some global declarations for claim, yeah, this one's for speed. Yeah, quite reckless declarations. Let's compile it again. Compiles without warnings, which is reassuring. And let's disassemble that. Process events. Okay, that looks slick. So process events. Right from the start, for some reason, we jump to that label 1. We get event Q. Then we go. We get something from there. By the looks of it, I would think that this is the vector itself, the underlying vector. And then we jump to label 0 again for some reason, and yeah, we get from that RAX, which is vector, we get I think length. Is that how I... Oh no, I think that one is the actual global vector in RAX, and then we get the length from that by using that instruction. So that's like plus 13. Yeah, looks like we are getting size, which is, well, done in global vector length here. So yeah, we just get the size. Okay, we get size. We test if it's not 0 and jump to label 2 if it's 0. And if not, we continue. Well, that's weird. Test RX and then, oh, jump if less or equal. Okay. Right. So, so then we get, what do we get? For some reason we again go inside of the event queue. That's not very well optimized, but anyway. Yeah, that might be some problem with global vars package. For some reason, sometimes in some architectures it compiles into that hideous call. Well, it basically means that it gets the actual pointer from some place in code above or below that function. And sometimes it compiles to just one move from the precise, like exact constant address. I don't know how that is triggered. I've created even some question on Stack Overflow, but no responses yet. Okay, so anyway, we are getting some stuff from there. Looks like we get the actual what do we get? The actual element from underlying vector. And then we call print and yeah, jump to another iteration. Again doing this crap with event queue. So yeah, I think this will kinda do. At least, well, in terms of performance. Yeah, right. So, where was I? I think I wanted to do something important here. oh yeah, the printer. Yeah, I wanted to print events. Yeah, anyway, I will do that later. It's just the cosmetic issue. I mean, I will define some nice pretty printer for event structure, but yeah, I will do that later. Okay, so I think I do have now my function which processes all events, and yeah, I'll do that later. So yeah, I think I need a function to add a new event. Right, so how do I do that? Thing is, do I make it take some parameter which will be the event structure instance, or maybe should I make some sort of macro which will take the type and all of the construction arguments for event struct and then create it? Yeah, I will probably start with a function and then see how it goes. Some function which will be called like so what it does, it queues an event for processing, so something like queue event, and that would be event, and yeah, that's basically it. So what it will do, it will push a new element. I think I have, yeah, nice, I already have some helper for that to push a new element to global vector. Right, so I will push to event queue that event. Right. Yeah, and I think in this library the idea was that you can even have some separate thread for events processing. So I don't think that's very applicable in my case because, well, the Allegro library, which does all of the drawing and other stuff in my game, it is organized in a way that you should have like resources loading and displaying of those resources in the same thread. So I actually can't use different threads for processing or some stuff like that. And anyway, I don't think that's that's a very good idea to process your events in different thread. That doesn't sound very you know, stable. I mean, you can get all sorts of problems with threads synchronization, so yeah, I would avoid that. Okay, so in that function I just push that event to, so it pushes it to the end, right? Yeah, to the end. Yeah, so I think that's it. Okay. So now I think I need, first of all, some macro to define structures, to define the new structures. So that would be like def event. It would take, what that would take. Okay, so let's see what actual def event macro takes right now. Oh, so here Sly shows all of the parameters, and here, and here it also does. That's weird, but okay. So name, direct superclasses, direct slots, and options. So that's basically more or less like the def struct. Okay, so that means that would be very similar with the def system macro. So let's look at that, how I made that one. System name, slots, and yeah, documentation order. Alright. Yeah, and I think when every time I compile that, SBCL emits warnings that it's not very good to have the keyword and optional arguments at the same time. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, the name and the slots. so I don't think I have any idea about anything more here. So I think I will just go with that. Okay, let's do that. Okay. So that will expand to the struct with the name. So how, again, what's the syntax to make the structure to be a parent, or I mean a child of another one? So, structure name, options. Okay, let's just search for child. No. Parent. Nope. Inheritance. Yeah, inherit. Include. Yeah, that's the one. Include. Okay. Alright, so include event. Then again, we don't need the clear nor predicate. And then we have slots. So yeah, I think that will do. Let's, oh yeah, okay. I already had the event from the dids library. Okay, so let's see what that will macro expand if I try and define some sort of event. I think I even have, let's see, another file. I have some definitions. Oh yeah, here they are very specific. They're actually some sort of classes, the close classes. Okay, let's go with something made up. So that will be event. Let's define something like, I don't know, entity moved. Entity moved. And then the slots. So something like, I don't know. Oh yeah, and should that be a list like that? So something like x with 0 type double float, and y. Let's see. Oh, what? Too few elements in and justify number list. Right. So I think slots here should be like rest arguments or even body. Oh, sorry. I mean, I'm interested in how the struct is defined. Macro rest. Oh, right. So here, slot descriptions are rest elements. Okay, let's go with that. Right. Struct entity moved. Oh, it didn't work as expected. It didn't work as expected at all, because I've put extra parentheses here. Right, that's better. So we have the struct entity moved, it includes event, it has no copier or predicate, and then we have some slots in that structure. Yeah, I think that will do for starters. Right, and then the most interesting part would be the actual processing of events, the actual handlers. Right, so I think, yeah, that's the trickiest part. So I think that should still be some sort of close generics. So let's make a generic, which would be called like process event, maybe, process event, or maybe system. The thing is that it would be for a system, so it would operate on a system and on event. Right, so should I call that system process event or system something? Wait, I think I already have something about that in systems, and maybe not. Issue, right, and Q event. Yeah, probably I should rename that to issue, just to keep some sort of compatibility with current code. Right. So where was I? The generic for systems. So is there something about it? Oh, I don't even have anything about events here. Okay. Alright, I will call it just process event. And it will take a system as the parameter, and then, well, the event. The thing is that I think sometimes I will need to have some extra parameters here. Like for instance, I would need, yeah, that's something to do with that filter functionality. So if I search for filter, yeah, I use that quite extensively, and that's the consequence of how awesome actually DIT's library is, because it can have this bit of code which will be compiled at runtime and added as the actual piece of code, and that will be run each time we have to determine whether we should call that event handler or not. And I think I want something about that, but not that powerful. Yeah, so for some simple things like that, like checking the type for the Allegro event, I think I can get away with some extra arguments here in that generic. But for some different things, or yeah, like in something like that. But when I need something more, something harder, something more specific, like whether this like entity has this component of that system, that would be a lot trickier, because, well, let's look at that example. To understand if we should call that specific event handler, we should call that function has component P, and that's not something close dispatch could do. So yeah, I think I would have to put that into the actual code of the handler to check it there, because, well, I don't want to have that compile time, runtime code generation again. How does that work? Oh yeah, I have system name as the... Yeah, and also in DITs you can have like any argument list in your handler, and all of that arguments will be filled with the values of the fields of the event, which is kind of neat idea. But I don't think I can quite make it. Yeah, okay, so the actual question here is, can I put here something like rest arguments? No, not even rest. They should be, yeah, I think they should be like optional. And then can I have like different methods, but with the different argument lists? I mean, so that they even have different length, different argument count. So I will need to check that. Let's see. So let's say I have generic, like, I don't know, GG, with arguments a, b, and optional. Yeah, something like that. Right. Then I have method. Come on, method with some specialization. So it would have a as, I don't know. Wait, I forgot how to specialize close methods. Yeah, that's awkward. Come on. So methods, generic functions. Let's see. Cool person. Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah. Right. Now I remember that. I know Kung Fu. So I would have A like this, and then B like this, and then optional and some arguments like C, which should be. Oh, wait a sec. Those should be types. Those should be types. So let's go with fix num, and maybe C. Okay, and then C and D. And then C would be, I don't know, double float, double float, and D would be double float. Right. Oh, wait a sec, I forgot to quote. What? Oh, I see, but the method has more optional arguments than the generic function. Right. Okay. Okay, well, let's try that. Let's have it not the optional, but just the rest, like R. Yeah, and then thing is that I can't quite dispatch on that R because, well, let's see. So rest R. So that rest argument will always be a list, and I can't dispatch on that type, which means that I will need probably to make a macro which wraps that method and defines, well, corresponding handler, and then inside that method I would need to, like, I don't know, destruction bind that R and then check some things there, so I will have my filter functionality. Yeah, I think that's that's viable. That will do. Right. Okay. Process event. So system the event. So I can at least dispatch on those. Then just the rest arguments. So what should I put in that rest arguments actually? I don't think that's even yes, so I want it to be as close to deeds as possible. So that means that I will need that filter functionality somehow built in. Okay, let's try just for starters without rest. So I have a generic process event, and then I will have a macro which would define the handler. So then again, def handler. Yeah, I already have one. So name label body. So I don't need a name. I don't need. Yeah, okay. I do need a system. Okay. So the system and then the event, but those are not the actual instances. Those are, of course, types. Okay. and then I will have the filter thing. So okay, let's search for def handler again. Okay, let's look at some of those. I don't even have that much of those. Okay, the filter. So this is like the keyword argument. Alright. Okay, I think that's doable. So I need a keyword argument filter, which would default to nil. Right. So that will macro expand to def method process event with system and event. Well, and then inside of that, oh yeah, I also need the body. Can I have it like with the key? I don't think I can mix key and body arguments in macro at least, but well, let's see. Okay, let's just go without filter for now. Let's just put body here. Will that compile? Yeah, it does not compile. Display body. Alright, so how is it done in actual def handler? Oh, I even have the wrapper for that. Okay, system marks body options and body. Oh, it uses this form fiddle library. With body options, How does that even work? Body options. Name. So where options? Body. Okay, let's just look at that form fiddle. Oh, it's also by Chimera. Okay. The structure, form definition, and macro. Macro. Oh. Actually, this is process lambda lists. Remove ox part, ox lambda largest. Okay, let's just look at the example. How am I using it here? Arcs. Handlers arguments. Oh yeah, so the thing is, actually it happens inside that beats define handler. Right. Handler name, then event, and then arcs. Where's the filter anyway? I think it goes in arcs. Yeah. No. Does it though? Arcs. Okay, let's search for def handler again. Do I use it without filter even? Oh yeah, here we go. I'm using it without a filter. Okay, so that means that those close something. That this filter ends up in arcs here. Wait a sec. So that def handler collision just here. So then the system event here is character removed, and arcs are those. Okay, and for instance here, after arcs, I have this filter thing. That's weird. But okay, let's go to define header. How does that work? Okay, from fiddle with body actions. Yeah, okay. I still don't quite see a filter thing here. Waiting. Response. Oh yeah, I can just have it in separate list. Okay, why am I not doing that? So I can have just like this, and yeah, I think that will do. Right. So, why the warning? Oh yeah, the filter is not used. Okay, filter, no. So, so the filter is like the expression which should be true. Right, so that means that I need one, and then just have it like literally here, like liter, something like that. Alright, let's see, let's try it out with macro expand first. So let's macro expand dev handler with some system, I don't know, player system, some event, I don't know, character moved, and without a filter and with body. Print, I don't know, something. Okay, and this is not working. Unlocking or print expected one of filter. Oh yeah, that should be, well, it have default value. How is that not working? That should be, okay, so I think this should be extra parentheses here. Right, okay. That's not very nice actually. So, handler. Maybe I should put it to the same list, and that would be a tiny bit nicer. So this list would start here, the handler, then all that stuff in parentheses, then the body. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. F method, person, system, player system, and character move. Nice, that works. So what if I want some filter? Something like, I don't know, equals system to something. One equal, okay, I need it to be different, something like that, without getting that list there. Yeah, that's what I want. One filter, yeah, then body. Okay, cool, I think that works. And yeah, cool. So I have the method, process event for system, and some event. Yeah, nice. Okay. So that's my dev handler. Now I have dev handler, dev event. I think I'm basically all set. So I only need to define all of this stuff. I mean all of the events, etc. Yeah, okay. It's time for some sugar drinks. Okay. Hello there. So what should I do next? I don't think I'm quite ready to go over all of the code and replace all of that stuff. yeah, I think I will need to also integrate, do event processing differently in main file. But yeah, anyway, that's to be done later. And now I think I can go with that libraries and try and pick the one that would optimize that close dispatch. Yeah, so I always wanted to look at those. How do they actually work? Okay, let's see. So the first one in my list is inlined generic function. Bring the speed of static dispatch to close. Yeah. Some build failing, some missing picture. Yeah, no problem there. Right, during the load measure the full dynamic feature, however, with the fast binary and then the dynamic dispatch measuring function should be statically compiled away. The thing is that at some point, yeah, like here, I'm going right, so I need to also change that. That was the debug code. So instead of printing the event, I want what I want. Yeah, first of all, I need to define that method for every system command. I want the method with default handler which does nothing. So process event for system. That's as dumb as it sounds, and well, event. So in this we ignore both system and event and just do nothing. Yeah, so we have a generic, we have this method. And yeah, in this thing we just call that. So I think I need this defined a bit higher in the file. So yeah, somewhere here. Should it be? Yeah, okay. Let's go with that. So, where was I? Yeah, here. So I need to call that process event for every system, which means I should go over all of those systems. Again, what are the arguments of my function, macro systems? Why Sly is not showing that? That's weird. Alright, var and body. So system, should that be in parentheses? I think it shouldn't. Okay, let's just quickly search for, yeah. So I need to call that process event method for every system with that event. Yeah, that's it. Okay, let's just quickly look at the disassembly of that. Come on, process events. So this one would be called on every frame. And yeah, okay, process event. Alright, so now it is a bit more code because of, well, going through the systems. And we're calling process event, which basically is a close dispatch. So if I try to disassemble that, process event, that's just the what is that? Versus what is happening here? So there are two memory allocations here in const2 r11, and oh yeah, and here's some jump somewhere. Yeah, well, anyway, I think that's the close dispatcher. I mean, it should be. Anyway, so let's look at that. We propose a mock-based implementation of fast-inline generic function dispatch and compile time. Amount of work required to inline generic function is minimal. Per conversation up to 10 times faster. Yeah, okay. Test it on SBCL and CCL. Branch, which is some touches of which to enable static type check in Linux. Okay. Okay, what's about usage? Let's declare the generic function with inline generic function meta class. Its meta class is a class blah blah blah. The phone class uses the special feature, attacks exactly the same as a normal generic function. Define methods as usual. Define a function which uses it. At this point, the GF is not aligned. What is oh yeah, generic function. Generic function is not inlined. Yeah, it jumps there. RAX plus 9, yeah, F definition for plus. Now it's time to run the GF. There's nothing different from line normal function. You want to inline generic function, just declare it inline. Wait a second, so it makes it this call like fully inline, which means it puts all of the code of, well, in my case, process event right here, right in that loop for every system. I mean, it isn't like that bad, but that's kind of weird thing to do. There's nothing different from inline normal function. In order to inline the generic function, just declare it inline where you use it. Which is the case of LISP and LBCL. Right. What the compile time dispatcher. If the code is inline with type environment, smart compilers can detect certain branches are not reachable, removing the checks and reducing the code size. This is equivalent to compile time dispatch. In an example below, the code for dispatching float is removed. Okay, blah blah blah. Yes. Type fixed AB plus AB, which basically means I think that the types are propagated to that call. The type does not match, you're associated by image. Okay, maybe we'll align globally. Benchmarks. Alright, that's not quite what I had in mind. This function of a specific part of the code to be invalid. What? On separate implementation, function is not compiled in effect. On separate implementation, currently SBCL only, the compiler signals a warning style warning on error when the compiler fails to eliminate it as a dead code. That's weird. Yeah, that's a very weird feature, but I can see how it can be used. But still. Okay, so I think I will check out another libraries to speed up close. The library inspired by inline generic function, the first one, which allows standard common Lisp generic function dispatch to be performed statically. Compile time. This is known as overloading in languages such as C++. The purpose of static dispatch is to provide an optimization in cases where the usual dynamic dispatch is too slow. And the dynamic features of generic functions, which is in this runtime and not required. An example of such cases is generic equality declaration function, currently concept of blah blah blah. Yeah, okay. How it works. The shadowed def method macro, oh yeah, not very good, stores the body of the method in a global variable which contains a hash table mapping generic functions to their methods. Wow. The compiler macro function is added to the compiler macro function, is added to the generic function which determines the types of the arguments and replaces the function call with the body. Yeah, not that good. The most specific applicable method, if the types cannot be determined or there isn't enough type information, the generic function call is left as is. Well, basically, yeah, I think that could do the trick. Thus, in order to choose the appropriate method at compile time rather than runtime, the types of the arguments either have to be declared using declare or surrounded in the form. Wait, what? The types of the arguments either have to be declared using declare. Oh, the one in the function body. Okay. But still. How does the example look? Package is provided which contains some symbols and shadowed def method macro. Package should be used imported instead of common Lisp, but besides explaining the shadowed def method, so express symbols shadowed by closure common Lisp package, which is necessary for closure mode. Generic functions and methods are defined as usual. Within the generic method, generic functions are dispatched dynamically, and they are identical to the standard converted generic function until the following declaration is in place, in line. In order for the appropriate method to be chosen directly, the arguments to the generic function call should be on the following variables for which there is type declaration. Oh yeah, I get it. It means that the compiler should know the type of the arguments that are passed to that inline thing, generic function thing. Okay. Functions for which the type, event forms, constant variables. Yeah. Well, basically it means that the compiler should know the type to dispatch on. Both equal class specialized are supported. Equal methods will only be chosen statically. The argument is only for is equal to the value. Constant literal, constant variable with type equal, macro, symbol macro. Okay. So, what am I actually trying to optimize here? So those handlers, they are called only here in the in that loop. So I don't want those handlers to be called anywhere else. They are kinda internal to the engine. Right. So that means that I want to optimize that bit. So for every system, yeah, I go over all of the systems and I call that process event method with the next event. Which means I can't use that library here because it needs the compiler to know the types beforehand, and I don't know the types of the systems and well events too beforehand. So yeah, that wouldn't help. Let's look at that library, the last one. This library introduces fast generic functions. That is, functions that behave just like regular generic functions, except that the can be sealed on certain domains. If the compiler can then statically detect that the arguments of the fast-running function fall within such a domain, it will perform a variety of optimizations. Okay. Let's see. First, to define a generic function, which function class is fast-generic function. Okay. Once this definition is loaded, and only then, so you should put the next snippets in the same file as the generic form. Why? It is possible to add the methods to it in the usual way. Okay. The novelty are calls to the sealed domain. These calls seal the specific part of the function domain and at the same time install compiler optimizations for calls to the generic function. Whenever the compiler can detect that the arguments of a call to a fast generic function fall within such a sealed domain, the entire call can be optimized in a variety of ways. By default, the call to the fast generic function's discriminating function will be replaced by a direct call to a custom effective method function. This means that there will be zero overhead for determining the generic function's behavior. Yeah, right. The following example illustrates this. It's impossible to align the entire effective method to the call site. However, to avoid code bloat, this feature is disabled by default. Enable it, each method the sealed domain must contain a proper declaration, shown in the next example. Okay, inlineable. That's a nice word. Extensible number of functions. It's easy to generalize such a binary function to a function that accepts any number of arguments. With all this in place, we can use our generic plus function, much like the command built-in plus, without worrying about performance. The next one snippet shows that in fact each form is aligned to blah 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 and instructions. Yeah, right. Comparison with generic plus. Binary plus. Generic plus. Yeah, binary plus. Plus. Okay. Right. So then again, this library requires the compiler to know the types of that method parameters. And I don't think that's the case for me here. Once a fast generic function has been sealed, it's not possible to add more defined methods. Yeah, of course. Specialize in a user-defined class. Yeah, okay. So, so if I go with that inlined generic function, that means that I would inline everything here, but what about the types? Again, how does that work? Stand to inline the generic function that we can blah blah blah. Let's see, blah blah blah. Okay, I will just try. Okay, so first of all, process events. So it calls this function process event for everything, and this process event is basically the close dispatch function. So I will try to quick load that. How's it put inline generic function? Yeah, I will load that. Yeah, okay, and try and use it here. So how do I use it? Dev generic. So in dev generic, I use that. Where's my generic? Yeah, here we go. So I think that should be from that package. -gf. Okay, let's go with that. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. And I think also I need to declare that inline for it to work. So somewhere here, or maybe here. Process event. Yeah, here we go. So I'll try and compile that. Nope. Cannot change class objects and generic function methods. Okay. So I think I would need to restart my Lisp image and also command that. Alright. Okay, and now I will uncomment that and try and compile. So here we go. Come on. Oh, I haven't quick loaded that stuff again. So yeah, in my generic function, here we go. Yep, compiled and loaded. Okay. So 4 warnings. The system is used. Wait, what? Ignore declaration for variable from the other school system. Oh, that means that this method body was kinda inlined here. But what if I would have some other handlers? Like for instance, let's define one. Let's define one, for instance, for player system, for the event, I don't know, for the basic event, and with the body which does print event. Loaded. What's the warning? Variable system is defined but not used. Yeah, it is. Okay. Why delete an unreachable code? Okay, how does that macro expand? Oh, too much. How do I macro expand once? Small macro expand one. Well, no button. Okay. Oh, when nil. Ooh. Yeah, I see. I should have true here. Yeah. Okay, now just one warning. The variable system is defined but not used. Alright. And what if I recompile that again? 5 style warnings. Wow. Variable system is defined but not used. Okay, what if I disassemble that? I mean, macro expand that. Okay, so where is the actual call to that? Yeah, process event. So it means that no changes. Okay, let's put the extra optimizations. I'll compile it again and see what's inside. Alright, that's quite a lot here. So what's happening there? Ooh, trivia much error. Okay. Error. So alright, I think what happened here is now instead of close dispatch, I have some trivia dispatch with, well, pattern matching library called trivia, and it just does some dispatching here. And well, actually it's quite a lot of extra stuff going on here. Some memory allocations going inside of the layout of that structures. So I don't know, probably I should benchmark whether trivia pattern matching would be faster than the standard close dispatching. So I will write some comment about that here. So we don't have any type information for system and event variables here in call of process event. And then I would need to benchmark this inline generic function versus the standard close dispatch. Right. Now also I think there's a problem if I don't have like that. Okay, what will happen what would happen if I restart that stuff again? Come on. Okay, quick load Diablo to kit, and then quick load the this inline generic function. Well, first we'll switch to the package, quick load this one, and then uncomment that, but leave that commented. So compile that, and then that. And then let's imagine that I haven't yet, well, the compiler haven't yet loaded all the definitions for other handlers. So like we have this def handler, but later. And now we try and compile that process events. And yeah, I think I even want to turn on the optimizations again. Okay, so what would happen here now? Okay, it's still the very same code, so it still have trivia, much errors. So how we get here? We get here label 5, no, yeah, okay. Right, so I think that would work, so if I add something later, but yeah, anyway, let's see. So now we have 431 byte. Now we have this def handler thing, and we define some handler using that. And now we recompile process events, and let's see it now. Yeah, now we have 618 bytes, which means it's different. Yeah, not very good, not very good. So the thing is that I would need to somehow define all of the handlers before the compilation of this process events function, which would use some optimizations here. Yeah. Probably I could get away without even using close or any methods or whatever. So here the thing is that I go in the loop over all the systems and try and process the next event with every system. So I just basically give that event to every system and ask it, can you process that event? So can it be done without clause? So I think I can make some ad hoc stuff, like for instance in that library which does some hash table or whatever. Yeah, and so I can make this macro to create some function and put that function inside the some hash table again. But then again, I'm doing dispatch on two different arguments, on system and on event. So again, I think that's doable, but I would need to have some very weird data structure like hash table of hash tables or whatever. And yeah, probably that wouldn't be so different from actual clause dispatch. Yeah, probably it wouldn't. Oh yeah, and I also missed one function. I would need at some point in the frame processing, I would need to remove all of the events because, well, they are processed. I think I even can put it here. So after that loop, like here, I can just make, okay, let's see, in global ladder, I think I have clear, yeah, global ladder clear. So in which I set size to 0. Yeah, clear, like here. So in my main file here, so I have this handle event helper, which for some reason have logging turned on, I don't know why. So I even check the type, and then if it's display close, I return false. Yeah, I think that's the part of the logic in upper level. Yeah, here. Type. Okay. Yeah, probably I should also rewrite this bit. I don't quite like it because this function have two concerns. It does issue the event, and then it also checks its type and whether which should or should not end the game by closing the window. Right. Okay, so where was I? Yeah, here. Right, so now even here I would just put all of the events inside of that queue. Yeah, that would be nicer for one issue like all that issue, and then yeah. Okay. Right, but to get back to that stuff about optimization, yeah, I would need to benchmark if this inline generic function is faster than close. And moreover, yeah, I need to somehow define all the handlers before this process events function. All of the handlers. Well, it basically means that I would need to put that file, I mean have it
compiled after all of the stuff.
Okay, and are they actually like really inline?
So what if I do something weird here? Like instead of print, I don't know, maybe just print something like that. And compile that, and then compile that.
So let's see the disassembly. Yeah, I have this row here.
So this is actually inlined. Like, wow.
But on the other hand, I think the good thing is that this dispatching is happening here only in that function, and it looks quite thin, so it just checks some variables here and there, and then several jumps. So yeah. But then again, some event handlers could be quite big,
so inlining those might not be a very good idea. Yes, I think maybe I would even leave it here with the basic clause. I don't know. Then, wow, can I even make sense? Yeah, so I have this large loop, and this loop would have the bodies of every process event, I mean of every handler that I would have. Yeah, that does not sound very good. Yeah. So, right. Then again, I could make my own like manual dispatch, but why would I want that if I could just stick with, well, close? So yeah, I think I will probably even just use that and not think about that. But can I use any of those libraries in different contexts where I use dispatch, like, I mean close dispatch, like in systems? So let's see. Yeah, perhaps I could use some of those, at least some of those, for at least several methods. Not the inlined generic functions, mind you, but any of those. I think they're acting kinda similarly. I mean, they have similar functionality. So, which would I pick? So they both are updated quite recently, and they have similar count of commits. This one 60, this one 155. So, well, I don't know. They both look good. Sourcing, code, static touch here, and oh, that's all here. Alright. Well, anyway, I would pick one later, but right now I should think, well, where do I call all of those methods, and can I use some of those? So, okay, let's start with system create. constructor name and system. Yeah, I think I can make this one optimized. So I will just make some comments. Use static dispatch or fast generic function. I don't know really which one is better. So let's look at gets. Yeah, right. Okay, so perhaps I would go with that fast generic functions. I don't know. I will pick one later. I will call it like close optimization. Copy that. Okay, so for system create it definitely makes sense because I know this system type beforehand. Okay, so the system initialize systems. Yeah, and here I don't know the actual type, but anyway I shouldn't even bother with optimizing that because initialize systems is called only once per game, and well, I mean even the system create is called once per game. Here, yeah, the constructor name. Yeah, so I mean I could use close optimization. I would write that. Okay, so system initialize. So I think I actually do have the type information at that point, but it would be quite hard to get that information. Yeah, anyway. So then system finalize, and then again I'm going in the loop through those, but again it is only called once per game. So system update, yeah, that's kind of big. Let's see, it system update, and yeah, again it's called in the loop, I think. Yeah, of course it is. System loop and system draw. It's okay, I will leave some sort of comment about think about optimizing, calling that loop. Right. Okay, so yeah, back to events. So I don't think I even would go with the benchmarking of that inline generic functions, because again, using that would require me to define all of the handlers somehow before that function. And yeah, it could be kinda hard. And then again, inlining all of those does not make much sense. So yeah, I think I will remove all of that stuff and just be with the close dispatch as it is. Okay. Right. So where was I? So I think I'm mostly done with revamping of my event subsystem. I will need to actually integrate all of this little code with the other code base, but except for that, I think that's basically done. Yeah, right. Okay, so I think I'm done with streaming for today, because, well, I'm kinda tired. So, yep, thanks for watching, and come back the next Saturday. Perhaps I would have more energy then. Yeah, so again, thanks for watching, take care.